Good morning. Good morning, Miss Campbell. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How about yourself? Oh, where'd you
Doing
go?
well.
Good, good.
I'm
I'm gonna have my profile up though, because between that and laptops, I'm not. I don't like to Zoom as much.
That's okay. I understand. I know I was supposed to be in Kingman myself today, and I was like, if I can work from Havasu today, I've got some things. So I'm gonna do the same. I just wanted to say hello.
Yeah, I totally understand. I was gonna be there today, but I got in a car accident and
Oh
totaled
my
my car.
gosh.
So my car is getting ready to be moved. I'm in Paso Robles at my cousin's house. So
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
I'm gonna be ordering rental cars to drive home tomorrow and everything. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not driving all the way down there for that meeting to drive back here to make sense of everything.
Oh my god. Wait, at least you look like you're doing well. Oh my
we're,
gosh.
we're good.
Oh,
All
that's always
airbags, all
terrifying.
here I am. Yeah,
Oh
it's
my gosh.
make sure you have a safe car.
That's right. Oh
Yeah,
gosh. Yeah.
very nice. All right, so I'm gonna put
Interesting.
you on mute and profile and
You got it.
back a little bit. All right, bye bye.
You got it.
We coming in
Hello?
at 7 o'clock at night with a full pack.
Hello?
Well, because we didn't get our first truck till 9:30. And then
Hello, it's Mike Kelly. Anybody there?
Yes, this is Larry Lord. I can hear you.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I said, I told him to leave.
We're just waiting on a few more people to join us, so we have a quorum and then we'll get started. To start today with the pledge, please everybody please stand so we can pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. So I'll start by thanking everybody for coming today, whether in person or online. Really appreciate that. And Rachel, can I get a roll call, please?
Kendall Robinson,
Here.
Tommy Taylor, John Deemer,
Here.
Alan Bell, John Bennett,
Here.
Jean Bishop,
Here.
Bennett Bradley,
Here.
Nancy Campbell,
Here.
Lisa Brownfield, Vicki DeLaureus.
Here.
How do you say your name?
Somber, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try really hard to remember that. I don't like butchering names. Casey Hacker,
Here.
Michael Kelly,
Here.
Kirk Lacey,
Here.
Larry Lord,
Here.
Shauna Marshall,
Here.
Dolly Moore, Mark Coleman, Adam Rodriguez, Randy Rowe,
Here.
Davey Spurlock,
Here.
Tammy Ursenbach,
Here.
Lisa Vanella, Drew Wagner, and Amy West.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Rachel. And I want to apologize ahead of time today because Director was not able to make it here with us. So it seems like we're kind of bubbling through a little. We really kind of do know what we're doing, but just want to apologize ahead of time, let you know that. We'll go on to item, start the meeting with item 1, approval of the April 27, 2023 meeting minutes. And we're not taking the meeting minutes, we're actually reading your backup. So please, at the time, take a minute. If you have any concerns or questions, please let me know. We have to take a motion to approve.
This is Mark Goldman, a motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll
Can I get a
second.
second? Thank you very
Nancy
much.
Campbell,
All in
second.
favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to item 2. Review of the Mojave LaCoste Workforce Development Board attendance resignations. Request for nominations to join WDP new and renewal appointments by the Board of Supervisors. Sarah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, we do not have any attendance issues. For item B, under the action is that we are doing a resignation for our Title II for Kathy Campo, as she is no longer in her position as dean over Arizona Western College. And we're asking to have her replacement of Craig Lefever added in under the Title II representative. Previously, Mr. Lefever was serving on the board before we had Title II for Arizona Western College. So we're asking for Mr. Lefever. We're going to have a board. For our item C under this, that there will not be a term
We were
limit
admitting
for
somebody in the lobby. So my apologies, folks. If you can hear me, we are having some technical difficulties here in the turquoise room. We're starting a little bit late. First of all, I'd like to go through and do some introductions. I think probably for the folks in the room first. And then for whoever is online, we'll have some introductions there as well. So if I can go ahead and turn it over to you, if you'd like to introduce the group here.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a computer voice in right.
The camera and microphone is here, yes.
This is Chuck C.
It's the turquoise room. Can we mute?
Hello,
And
turquoise room,
I'm
can you
going to be
mute,
the
please?
presentation, so because we have so many things we have to go through that. Okay, And I'm Rob Hoover. And I'm the local resident guy. Okay. Live out on
Are we doing 2 meetings at once? Are we good?
I'm trying to. That's fine. Well, I'm getting the turquoise from this audit this morning.
All right, so I'm going to continue on.
Can our people still hear you?
Our mic is on. Lauren, can you hear me? Shake your head. All right, we're good. Thank you. All right. So at this time, Mr. Brewster has termed his resignation effective immediately. We are asking for a new appointment of Mr. Hardy. There is no change to our current percentages of business or workforce with this change.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Turquoise room.
Shine, just come right in.
Is Craig Lever from, I guess, is he from La Paz County? Or is he, where's his background?
If I may, Chair, so Craig Lefevre is actually out of Yavapai. He is a Title II representative for additional ESL or distance learning, but at this time, we do not have a representative that was nominated or brought forth from our Title II at the state. It was recommended that Craig go back onto the board at this time until we do have someone from Arizona Western College too.
So is the eventual hope trying to get somebody from Arizona Western College?
Absolutely.
Okay, and there has been communication. I know I have a meeting with Dr. Gordon next week. So is that a topic that I should be talking to him about?
We can definitely encourage it. At this time, with the changes at Arizona Western College, we're working directly with that agency with Pratika Dewan and then with our MCC counterparts for Title II, but for more representation, it was recommended from the state of Craig Lefevre.
And I would say Arizona Western right now is in flux at the Parker campus with Kathy leaving, and then somebody else left and somebody's on maternity leave. So I would bet that they'll have some options and I bet it might be September.
Okay.
That's my guess.
So do we need a motion to accept the resignation of Kathy and replace it with?
We need a motion for all of them, yes.
So do you want a motion for all of A, B, C, and D?
Yes, please.
I'll make it easy and put that in part of the motion for a second.
Thank you, Damon. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to item 3, review and accept ratification of the 2023-2025 MOU IFA. Sarah?
Madam Chair. So the changes on this current document for MOU IFA is pages 82 through 98. We made various changes, and this came out very late with direction from our Title II providers through the state with guidance of wording that needed to change so that we are not duplicating services here in Mojave and La Paz County as we now have Title II representatives. We also had to add additional changes to our OSO and the breakdown against our core partners or with our core partners so that we're ensuring that it is funded correctly and amicably across all. And then we did have to change different information on square footage location for our Parker office, specifically to note that there was an additional Parker that wasn't actually accounted for originally. So those changes have been made, have gone to the Board of Supervisors. And we're asking for approval of the current changes from the local.
Questions? I will need a motion to review and accept it.
It's Mark Coleman, I give a motion.
Hey, I'm sorry, who was that?
Mark Coleman.
Thank
Give
you,
a
Mark.
motion.
Can I get a second?
Nancy Campbell, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Move on to item 4. Is Dr. Lacy on the phone, Rachel?
Yes.
Perfect. Item 4 is the review of the MCC local first grant and approve the work group to develop the MOU. It's the October 26, 2023 full board meeting.
Dr. Lacy, are you able to maybe discuss the grant so we can catch the board up?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So this grant was originally a multi-county. There's 5 counties in northern Arizona that partnered on this grant with Local First. It was originally a grant, workforce development grant that was proposed for a U.S. Department of Labor federal grant for a similar title. That grant was not funded by the U.S. Department of Labor, but the Local First organization that was the lead on the grant submitted a similar proposal to the governor's office. So the governor of Arizona reviewed the proposal and allocated funds for the grant. So the grant has, as I said, is for 5 counties. Tammy Ursenbach is also on this call, and she's also, as the Economic Development Office and the County Community College were the subcontractors for each of the 5 counties on the grant. So the grant was funded. They had the initial launch call in at the end of June, and to kick off the effort. But it basically is a 4-year grant that has 3 phases. And so this first year is the first phase, and it's basically targeting workforce development efforts, industry-driven workforce development efforts for 4 industry sectors in each of the 5 counties, which would be manufacturing, transportation, construction trades, and hospitality and retail related businesses. The first phase of the grant is for planning, and that it provides, so for example, the Mojave Community College was allocated as a subcontractor in the grant. The community college was allocated approximately $40,000 to support the planning phase of this effort, which is to engage with other partners in Mojave County, Economic Development Office, Arizona at Work, the chambers of commerce in different communities throughout the county, other stakeholder groups, to do outreach to businesses and industry associations in those 4 industry sectors to assess specific skill needs that are needed for new jobs in the county for those businesses, as well as to upskill existing workers for the workforce related to those employers. So it's really defining what are the needs in the county for knowledge, skills, competencies needed for the workforce demands in the county. And so this first phase is to support efforts to engage employers, to assess those needs. And once that is successfully done, then the parties in the grant qualify to go on to the second phase of the grant, where additional funds could then be allocated to actually design the training programs to those knowledge, skill, competency specifications that the employers and industry associations have provided us in the needs assessment. So that 1 or 2 years of the design stage of developing the training programs specific to those needs, and then the last phase, the third phase of the project would then, once the programs are designed, the third phase of the project would allow for additional funds to support the actual delivery and implementation of those training programs. So paying for individuals to go through the training and be linked with the employers who have those workforce jobs or needs for those competencies. So let me stop there and see if Tammy has any additional information to offer, or if there's other questions or other comments about the grant.
I think the only thing that everything was correct, it was perfect. The only thing I would say is manufacturing and transportation are in one area, and then you forgot healthcare, and that's another important area in our area. Yeah. Other than that, we're getting started. We've only had a couple meetings, but we're excited to have us work on this grant.
As I talked with Director Smith, and we had a meeting with MCC leadership and Arizona Work leadership a few weeks ago, and we discussed the grant launch. I know Director Smith had expressed some concerns or potential concerns that I think he can voice as well. But that my philosophy about the grant and how I'm encouraging MCC to approach this as the subcontractor within the grant is that the planning and the design of training programs to industry and employer specifications and the implementation and delivery of these types of programs are things that MCC needs to be doing anyway as part of our mission as the county community college. But I also see it as things that we as a workforce board, we as Arizona at Work, the Economic Development Office, the Chambers of Commerce, the county stakeholders that are involved with workforce development in the county would need to be doing these things anyway to continually assess employers' skill and competency and workforce needs, design training programs to serve those needs, and help individuals go through that training and get them linked with employers. These are things that as a county, I believe we should be doing together as partners anyway. I see the resources from this grant just providing us with resources to help us do what we should and need to be doing anyway. So it's not that the grant or Local First would be telling us what to do or how to do it. They're providing with resources with us with resources to do what we want to do and how we want to do it.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, if I may. So the specific agenda item on this, and I'm very grateful, and we've had those discussions with MCC and Economic Development, and we want to bring that before the Workforce Development Board, is to specifically create a work group and a memorandum of understanding so that we are all aware of what our entity and what our play is within this grant, because we were not a part of the application, the receiving of funds. So we want to ensure that everyone is doing their part, but also so that there isn't a duplication of that or of the work that is being done. I know that it's very noted on page 4 of this grant is that it specifically states that this is across 5 counties and very largely in bolded states to avoid duplication of services. So in that, it was proposed by the director for us to create a work group with all of the entities and a memorandum of understanding so that we have everything that we need and everyone has a vital understanding of what their role is in the facilitation of this grant with those additional resources from Local First. Okay,
Madam Chair, can I ask a question about that?
Go ahead.
So my question, Sarah, I think putting together a work group is excellent plan, and I think that will help us coordinate our efforts and make sure that we're all in sync. My question about the work group, kind of to my point earlier, is that could we create this work group around these types of planning, training program design, training program implementation activities as a county, and have the partner stakeholders in the work group around those types of activities for the county, and know that the grant and the specifications of how the grant supports those activities and accountabilities and responsibilities and outcomes, and could still be linked with the grant. But my question is, rather than having the work group be just about this grant, could we have the work group as a county focused on these types of efforts, but have the grant be one of the items that we're using to continue to track grant-related outcomes? But you see what I'm saying? It's not a grant-specific work group as much as a county workforce development work group.
Can I tag on to that if that's okay? And I agree with what Kurt's saying exactly, because I believe that this grant is supposed to be a support with the other programs that we have, any other grants that we have. They all work together and not against each other. They're not separate. So by doing that work group and having one work group work on all of the same issues together makes sense.
So the proposal is to move forward with a work group with all of the entities specifically to oversee not just or the same exact ideals of going out to the businesses, going through different regional partners and executing that, not just specifically under the grant of the Local First, which is, I mean, absolutely, we do that. I think the specific direction from Director Smith and putting this agenda item forward to the board is that it is very heavy on the Local First grant, and that if we are going to be providing services, that we want to ensure that there isn't that duplication as we are reaching out to businesses, entities, regional partnerships. And if they are also doing the same, then no one is quite aware of what the other is doing. And that was the request for this agenda item to the board with specific suggested guidance from them on how to move forward.
Okay, if I may just weigh in here, I absolutely agree with you, Doctor, and also, but I do have a few questions and I have a few suggestions. I think we could move forward unless, I mean, I'd love to hear from everybody on the board about this, but I think we can move forward with the reasoning that director had sent this forward is because we didn't know anything about the grant until it was pretty much there. So the reasoning for this particular work group on this grant is just to make sure, as Sarah said, we're not duplicating services. And yes, I agree, we probably do need a work group to go forward to work with all the grants, not just this one. But I think at this time, it's probably a good idea to vote in a work group for this grant and to be able to present it to the board in the next meeting. And then maybe in a future agenda item, we can discuss having a work group for all the grants. Does anybody have any questions or suggestions on that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, just I think what you're doing is you're building up for a motion for this, and basically it's an oversight work group of all grants to track the progress and success of those grants and the compliance of them. Is that correct? Is that what you're looking for, Dr. Leeson?
That's definitely something the board needs to decide. If we want to go forward with a work group that we can oversee all the grants, which I agree is definitely necessary, or do we want to wait that as a future agenda item and work on the work group for this grant at this time? So it's up to the board. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so my personal opinion, trying to get a individual work group for this particular grant seems the important now topic. It doesn't seem like it, again, encompasses La Paz County with this particular one. It's more the northern one. I know we would want La Paz County's representative on the future grant projects, so it may not make sense on this particular one. But I think having that grant overall encompassing committee would make sense going forward, but maybe not make sense for this particular one. And,
right.
With that, so I would like to make a motion to move forward with a committee for this particular grant. And then have a future agenda item for grants committee as a whole.
Okay, so he's actually made the motion. And can I get a second on this?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're going to move on to item 5. Review and approve. I'm actually going to amend this item a little bit because the actual approval that I need is to amend and approve that we apply for the Economic Development Grant, the EDA, and we reapply as a group, as a partnership for this. Did you want to speak on this, Tammy?
I think Michael should speak on this one.
Sorry, Michael is not in the room. Sarah? She said Michael.
Tammy, were you
So-
asking? Director Smith?
So I emailed, Michael asked me if we wanted to participate on this grant, and I felt like we needed to have a work group. I think what he was wanting to do is take the same grant, the Good Jobs Challenge grant, and fix it a little bit and reapply with that. But I haven't had a chance to talk to him. But I think we could, if it's okay with the board, we could move forward with this in that if we choose not to, at least it's been approved. And then we can put a group together, which he already has aligned different people to be part of that discussion. And we would be able to report back at the next meeting. But because of the time, it's due by October 3rd, we would have to have it approved today if we were going to move forward.
So the approval that we need is to apply for the grant, to reapply for the grant as a partnership, correct?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions or anything on this?
The partnership
With all the partners included?
So before the partnership was Mojave County, Economic Development, Arizona at Work, MCC were the three main partners of the grant. We had other supportive companies that put in and organizations that put in letters of support that wanted to help. We had several companies that said, yes, we want to. It's very similar to the Local First Arizona grant, but would be specific. So it would be very similar. We've got money coming from Local First Arizona that could help with these programs and wraparound services, as well as we get another grant, they can also help for that. So some of the wraparound services might be creating daycares, or it might be creating transportation companies and helping to have funding to get them started so that we can get transportation from remote locations into other locations in the county and get people to work. So some of those, it's going to be a little different. Each grant will be different, but yet we're all focusing on the same goal. Am I correct, Kurt, or have I misunderstood that? At least that's how it was set up before.
So again, that's just specific to Mojave County.
Yes, this one will only be for the county. It would not be for any surrounding from, well, that we, in the first grant, and that's where it would come before the first grant, we were including partnerships with surrounding counties, which in this case is La Paz County, which would be fine. But it was specific communities like Needles, Laughlin, Mesquite, and Hilldale, Utah. But it was not really incorporating all of the other counties or anything. It was just surrounding our county and organizations or companies that we already work with.
So Tammy, just to make sure that I'm clear, so we reapplied for this grant to include the other people as well?
That's the way it was set up before. So if we set it up that way, I think and approve it for this board, then if they're not included, that's fine. But you know, I mean, in my mind, Laughlin, Needles, they all have the same workforce and they come from Mojave County, the majority of them. A few of them live here and go over, but most of them are gonna live here in Mojave County. And so either way, the businesses or the people are here. The La Paz County is part of this workforce development board, so it makes sense to me to include them as well. And then if anyone's ever been up to Colorado City, 1/3 of the city is Hilldale and the 2/3 are Colorado City, but they're joined together and the businesses are joined together. So if it was my preference, we would all work together under the grant, but that would be up to the board to decide.
So what is the exact request?
So do you have any more to ask? Okay, so the motion would be to approve the, to reapply for this grant, involve with partners as well.
I would like to make that.
Second.
I'll make a motion to this. This is Mike Kelly. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a lot of difficulties hearing because of my location right now. However, day before yesterday, I did talk to Michael about some training courses here in the town of Parker, which we were in La Paz. But we're also looking at setting up rideshare programs. And sorry if I'm speaking out of line, or like I said, I'm getting bad reception where I'm located. Rideshare programs from Mojave, Lake Havasu to Parker, as well as from Phoenix to Parker. So I know me as a business owner, I'm looking for that, as we've currently now moving into 50 employees, and I plan on employing 250 employees. So, and then he called, and I do have a couple of people that we've submitted through the workforce, and I realized that we have a new person with Kathy stepping down over there or going to Mojave. So I'm going to be able to have a chance to go and meet her. I'm going to try to do that today, but I'm just having a really difficult time with my phone right now. I apologize.
Thank you, Mike. That's really good information. That's great to hear that we could get something like that. That would definitely help. Yeah. So I did get a person.
And there was one. I'm sorry. And there was one more they were looking at is for trucking. We have out here for trucking. we have out here for truck, and actually I got a trainer calling me right now that would be putting 40-hour classes. He's calling me the line, 40-hour hazmat classes on for all the employees that come out here at the college here at Western College in Parker as well. And I needed to get a price, but I've been trying to do it for 2 days because Michael did call me 2 days ago. So that, and then also CDL drivers was brought up about having CDL done out here in Parker, where we would probably be able to do that at the fairgrounds, and I would even donate a truck.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. I know you're having a lot of, I know you're having a lot of communication difficulties, but we need to go ahead. I did get a first and a second. I just need it all in favor. Say aye, please. Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're going to move on to item 6, vacant executive committee seat. Sarah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Due to Cleo Campo's resignation, we do have current vacant seat on the executive committee and do need a volunteer for a nomination.
Do I have any volunteers to sit on the executive committee seat?
Can I nominate Casey?
Would you like to volunteer to be on the committee?
Sure, I'll volunteer for that.
Perfect. So, okay. Yeah, I did get a motion. Did you say? Did I hear a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
And we get a second, Deemer?
Second.
It's Mark. I'll give a second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Welcome to the club.
Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much for volunteering over there. Okay, moving on to item 7, review and accept the PY23 enrollment and expenditure goals. Sarah?
Sure. So these are actually internal goals that are set by the board. We did take this before or it was out of our performance review committee and taken before the executive. It is broken down per staff and their actual performance. So each staff member has a performance of 5 enrollments per month. It's just to show that they're doing due diligence to get people in, get them into services, and provide an upskilling or workforce need. With this covers each of our local offices in Parker. Any additional outlying areas surrounding our major cities are encompassed within this area. Are there any questions or any concerns in regards to our current enrollment?
How often will you update us on this?
It will be done at every single board meeting and it is provided to the PRC. Unless requested and I can provide that.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion, please, to accept that?
Motion to accept.
Thank you. Can I second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're going to move on to item 8, which we are going to amend this item. Sarah, did you want to accept this first?
Yes, thank you. So at this time, any board member for our current policy for on-the-job training, a contract has to be created and then go before the board, and we have to have a 2/3 majority vote. But once a contract is created, usually it's that you are executing that with that individual. And if we provide a contract to the state of Arizona, or we have to upload it through data validation processes, if it shows that we have a contract started or ready to execute on a certain date, and we actually could not execute that or proceed with it on that date because it has to be approved by the board, and we do not have a working date, so we want to create an on-the-job contract with the Environmental Waste Solutions with Mr. Kelly's organization. With that, we would not be able to move forward until the next board meeting or a special meeting. So we are going to ask for the board approval to be able to go in and change the local policy, that it would be to approve not the actual contracts, but the pre-checklist for that organization, such as their EO compliance and their checklist for on-the-job training to ensure that they are actually eligible for those services. And so that we do not have a stagnant placeholder of we've exacted a contract in which we cannot actually execute until the board approves, which could be technically 3 months later. And at that point, it nullifies that contract because that person was probably hired, having been hired on by that organization, has received that training or some part of it, and then we would not actually be able to go forward with it because it would nullify it.
Questions? So the motion would be to approve to change the policy. So while we're all here today and we can vote on approving the policy to make any changes we need to go forward with an OJP contact with such employers as Environmental Waste Solutions. Right. Okay.
I would like to make that motion.
I would like to accept that. Can I get a second, please? Second. Perfect. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're going to move on to item 9. Review and accept proposed changes to the WEX policy regarding hour allotments to the adult discipline work of Sarah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we are asking for the board to approve a change to the WEX policy for adult and dislocated workers to increase the limit of hours from 240 to 250. And we have a current policy limit that will not allow us to go over $3,500 for an adult or dislocated worker who is in a internship or work experience. With the current minimum wage that is required and the 240, we are kind of at a impasse where we cannot go to $3,500, and we are leaving additional time that this individual could have received education and basic soft skilling with that employer mentorship. So we're asking to increase it by 10 hours, which still will not get us completely to $3,500, but as minimum wage changes very quickly with inflation rates at this time, we're hoping that that will get us a little bit closer to that gap between the actual policy limits that relates to the appropriate hours.
Any questions, Sarah, on that? Okay, hearing none, then I would entertain a motion to accept the proposed changes to the WEX policy. The adult.
Mark, I give a motion.
Who is that? Mark?
Mark. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're going to move on to item 10. We're going to review the workforce committee updates, and we're going to have Rachel actually go through some slides and show us and answer any questions that anybody might have on the slides. This is the actual workforce convening that we're going to be holding on August 9th, and these are the slides. Go ahead, Rachel.
All right, so Director Smith, Ms. Ungaro, and Ms. Campbell went up to Phoenix to do a summit with OEO. These slides are taken from that event. We are going to present these during the workforce convening as it collates with the questions that we had developed. So it's going to go over who our corporate partners are, so that way the community is aware and knows who to reach out to for certain aspects. It's going to give them our steps that we do for success. This is going to be part of the introduction part in the convening. These are parts of questions that we're going to ask them while they're there that coincide with the agenda. Pretty much letting them know why we're holding the convening, what we could do for them, what we could do to put effort into our workplace in the area. Let's see here. Another thing that we had done, this one was director's main focus. This is going to be talked over when we talk about education and upskilling, is our numbers. These were pulled right before that convening meeting. They are updated data points. I checked these numbers last week. They're still accurate. Where we are as a state versus how the US is compared to other factors like Japan and internationally. We need to invest more in people's education is what the outcome is pretty much saying. And more breakdown to educational wise, 2 out of 10 adults are unlikely to find the name of Congress people because they are not sure how to do the research and they're not engaged. 3 out of 10 unable to calculate total cost of a rental car provided, just because it's daily things that they just don't usually need to do. And then we close with thanking everyone there. National Association of Workforce Board also provided this data for these slides. So we wanted to thank them as well. This agenda, once approved, is going to go out to everybody. It has it dialed down time frame wise, so that way we can stay on topic, stay on time. So this 3-hour meeting doesn't turn into a 5-hour meeting and grows more than it needs to. So the meeting is going to start promptly at 2. For the first 20 minutes, we're going to do introductions from all locations. And then we will go out virtually into breakout sessions for those who are virtual online and discuss this first question. It is going to be a timed breakout session. We're going to have 10 minutes at each location to discuss this question and come out with your top 2 answers. And then we're going to go around to each location online and they're going to discuss it. We're going to keep that flow so that way the last 10 minutes of the meeting is just a recap of what we discussed, recap of what we can do for them, what they need from us, and then we can adjourn on time. The slides were not provided in the feedback because we were waiting for permission from OEO to even utilize them. They came back and said, yes, definitely, of course. I will be sending this out to everybody so that way as we go through and are still trying to get people to RSVP, they can provide them with that information as well. I do have a list of people who have RSVP to each location as of lately. If you have people that have just said to you directly, yes, I'll be there, send me that information so I can make sure they're on the list. This just makes sure we have enough room for everyone in the room, enough refreshments, and we can coordinate where they're going to be positioned within each facility. Does anyone have any questions, any concerns?
I just have a comment, Rachel. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And also, we're going to get together on August 3rd to go. So, wants to attend that. Please let Rachel know if you'd like to attend it, and you can also attend the walkthrough of what we're going to be doing that day if you need more information. Does anybody have any questions for Rachel on the slides? Okay, so the motion I need is to accept the workforce meeting slides for that day.
Make the motion.
Shannon, thank you. I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're moving on to item 11. Approval of consultant to help develop and move forward with the 2024 local plan. Sarah.
Right, so this was brought before the board previously, as well as the executive and the performance review committee. As we are currently, this clock is taking our workforce development local plan will be due by June 30th of 2024. We still do not have full guidance from the state or from the governor on how to proceed with this. Last year, or the last time that we actually put forward this plan, it took well over a year. It took a lot of guidance from the board and different work groups in which we pieced this apart, and everyone joined in between the program, the board members, and local businesses to put together what it actually is for our local plan. We were asking the board's suggestion and approval to utilize an outside consultant to work with them directly with the board, as well as the program, to develop a better structure. If you look at our current local plan, there is some repetitiveness in various areas, and that was noted by the state when we did new additions. Every 2 years, we do have to go back into that plan and add additional OEO data, different economic changes. Obviously, during the last one, it was a real fun one because we're in the middle of COVID and it changed everything. And with that guidance, it took over a month to piece together what was new and what was old. So we were asking for the board's approval to utilize a consultant to help us work with this.
You have any sort of idea of the cost of a consultant?
We want to stay within our procurement. We will stay within our procurement guidelines. We don't want to go above that specifically. We're hoping for something, I believe, under 10,000.
Anything under 10,000, we don't have to do an RFP. But if it's going to be over 10,000, then we have to do an RFP. So at this point, all we're asking for is the board is for the approval to search for and go forward with maybe hiring a consultant to develop. And I just might want to add as well that the money's coming out of this is not, it will not, this is my first question. Is this going to affect our participants? It's going to take money away from them? Absolutely not. It's a whole different fund. So just want to put that out there because that was my first concern. Wait, we're going to take money away from our, our participants, then I was going to vote not to do that, but it's for, we have the money for that.
So where does that funding come from? Because that's my question. It is administration funds.
But overall, 10,000 seems pretty cheap for a consultant with that, so.
Again, that's only RFP line. Anything over 10,000, we would have to get an RFP.
So I guess how much work, like hours of anticipated work would this consultant be doing and they're just developing the ideas for the local plan and giving us the direction on how to go forward with the 24 local plan? Is that the idea of it?
Yes. It's to make some of the been with writing the plans a few times. They're very time consuming and without the guidance of an expert, it takes a lot more time. So this person, even though this still has to be driven by the board and we'll still have the answer to the board and the questions and we'll have our input, he has the expertise of doing, or they would have the expertise of doing more. I've done them before. That's the kind of things we're looking for in a consultant, someone that can guide us through this to make sure we're not back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then when we actually do submit it, then we've got to go back and take things out. And it's very time consuming. So we're hoping that we can avoid this time.
Yeah. From my perspective, 10,000 does seem like very cheap, roughly that. I mean, if that's our upper cap limit of what we're talking about right now, I would like to make that motion because I do think that the benefit from that is a lot greater than what it's going to be costing.
I'll say.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We'll move on to item 12. Jobs EQ update. Sarah?
Turn that over to our business service coordinator, Joe.
So again, Madam Chair, Sarah, I wanted to thank the board for approving funding for this jobs EQ to have an up-to-date data point. What I've done for you today is, since the board approved this and I got the license 3 weeks ago, I've already completed 10 projects from the community that have reached out to me for economic development. We had a new company coming in to vet us as a community for their business, so I was able to do a spotlight. So I have 4 different ones that will just run through very quickly. For the people in the room, I have made some hard copies if there's a particular one that you would like to take away today, or if there's something else you need me to. But I just want to give you guys an idea. These reports that I'm going to be showing you take about 30 seconds to produce. You just pick the area you want, the industry you want, the different factors that you do or do not want to include in the report. You hit export. It's very exportable. I can export it straight into a PowerPoint on Excel, as you see here in a Word document. So not only is it more up-to-date information, but it is really created a time-saving issue as well. So Rachel, if you can just kind of go through these. I'm just going to first just give you an overview. So this is nursing. We met with one of the major hospitals in the area recently to talk about skill gaps in the college and how we can improve upskilling the workforce and getting new people into the workforce. And this just gives us a snapshot. This is for Mojave La Paz, 1,093 people, average wage 39,000, shows the trend. Go ahead. And then a snapshot of employment wages. Go ahead. And all of these reports you see, we can do 1 year comparison, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year. This tells us what's driving the growth. Go ahead. The distribution by type between private and public establishments that are in the area. GDP and productivity of the industry. supply chain for this industry, sector strategies and pathways for the industry, post-secondary programs, and it lists our Mojave Community College in this case. And then shows the geographic area that we're covering. And then data notes, FAQs, and of course, it's all documented and sourced for you. Next one was transportation and logistics. And we don't really have to go through each. I just wanted to give you a couple different looks. Then we did have somebody reach out to me and they wanted to know every employer in Lake Havasu City. So we did it by, this one's just an economic overview versus a workforce for the county. Gives us all of our demographics. Go ahead. The trends in employment, unemployment rate, wage trends. This is very helpful for business services when we're going out talking to existing employers. This is a snapshot of all the different types of industry we have within the county and all the data points behind that. Occupational snapshots, industry clusters, education levels, gross domestic product, the county map, and then our FRQs. This one here, a little unique. I had somebody reach out and say, hey, we need all the employers in Lake Havasu City and how many employees they have. So I just said, here's the zip code, and it shot out all the information for me. Shows the trends in employment, wage trends, cost of living index. This is very important here because, you know, there's more to it than just, you know, wages. There's what does daycare cost? What does all the other things cost? So that's a nice slide to have. And then a snapshot of the breakdown of different industries and the data behind it. Occupational snapshot. Clusters. Education. And then the zip code, it's a little tiny dot there. So of course, I included the main zip code for Lake Havasu. I could have included the 2 or 3 around it as well, and then your FAQs. So hopefully that's very helpful for you guys as a board, and please, as a business or as a partner, if you need any of this type of data, let me know. It's very easy to put reports together, email them over to you. If you need some tweak, you don't want a critical part in, you just uncheck a box, and it's not in the report. And like I said, I've made some hard copies here if anybody wants to look at them. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Now, you said it takes you how long to battle one of these reports?
Literally, at this point now, 30 seconds.
That's amazing.
First week, it took me a couple of minutes, but now is the other beautiful thing about this is this online live chat. Matt happens to be my coach that's always on when I'm on, and I just send him a question. We have migrant farm workers has now joined us in the back of our building, and so we're creating a report of all the demographics for the migrant farm workers within Mojave and the Plaza. Not something I knew how to do right away, but having that live stakeholders, very good investment. Thank you.
Chair, if I may, also on job CQ, we had a meeting with the state where we were looking at adding in additional reciprocal agreements with the state of California, which allows us to have people who may be in some of our river cities or areas bordering California to be able to receive training in that area, because that is the closest training provider for their needs. With that, we're able to pull data directly from our educational institutions and where people are going to school or going for specific certifications or educations in other bordering states, and provide that to the state of Arizona so that they could make a more of an educated decision and how that would help impact us. And they were specifically looking at Mojave, La Paz, and Yuma in those areas because we're all bordering that and looking at what we could actually accomplish with additional training opportunities.
The other thing too, Madam Chair, is Title III had an all staff all week in Phoenix last week, and they're looking at a similar product called Spotlight. They were able to bring back reports, specific reports. They ran them through that, and then I'm doing the side-by-side analysis, and by far, John, it's much more robust than easy.
Thank you, Joe. Any other questions? And this item was a discussion only. It's just jobs EQ update. Thank you very much for that. We're going to move on to item 13.
It was just Mark. I just want to know if we could get a copy of that report.
I'll get it emailed to you, Mark.
Thank you. Okay.
This is Nancy Campbell. I would like one too.
Okay.
Anybody else wants those, just please reach out to Rachel and she'll get that for you. Okay, we're gonna move on to item 13, Title I Governance Monitoring Letter, Order 2. Sarah?
Madam Chair, at this time during our quarter two, there were no findings. We just wanted to ensure that the board was aware. There's no corrective action that needs to be taken.
Any questions on that? Again, that was just for discussion only. Moving on to item 14, modular pause recertification letter. Sarah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have been certified by the Workforce Arizona Council as a workforce development board. That is all I have.
Any questions for Sarah on that? And we need no motion on that. On to item 15, EO monitoring closeout letters. Sarah?
Thank you. So we did have our state EO officials here on site in all of our areas for even City, Lake Havasu, and our Parker office. There were various observations that were noted, changes to signage. We have corrected any and all of the observations, and we have no current findings or corrective actions at this time.
Actions? On item 16, modular pause the conflict of interest form. Sarah?
Rachel, could you please go over this?
So these are due to me on an annual basis. Thank you for those who have turned them in. If you have not had a chance to, I need them before the next board meeting. If you have any issues or questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you need it to be resent to you, I can do that as well. Just please let me know.
We move on to item 17. Approve the development of the quarterly work group that will consist of all core partners, state representatives, and financial and administrative staff to the board to review the MOU, IFA, and OSO performance and goals.
Mouthful. Yes. Got that bullet in there. So thank you. This item is specifically out of our MOU IFA. There is noted words or noted verbiage that specifically states that the partners agree to review the MOU quarterly to reconcile and to ensure appropriate funding and delivery of services. Previously, this was not occurring, and it was actually in our MOU. So we have wanted to take this before the board to ensure that we create this work group and that all of the core partners and entities who pay into our MOU or where those funds get broken down are actually represented on that board to review this every quarter. And we wanted to ensure that the board was agreeable to the members on the committee and to move forward with this. We currently have the members. I do not believe that we need volunteers. We have all of the members who are currently throughout the various titles and representatives.
Perfect. Okay, so the motion, well, first of all, we should have been doing this quarterly all along, correct? Okay, so the motion I need is to approve the development of the quarterly work group. Thank you very much. Can I get a second?
I will second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Move on to item 18. Review and nominate 2 board members to attend the masterclass series Accelerating Workforce Digital Transformation webinar. Sarah?
Thank you. My laugh is back. I appreciate that. So at this time, we had received information from one of our state organizations about an additional training opportunity that is going to be happening throughout August and into early September. We wanted to offer that to see if any of our board members wanted to take part in that specifically. We know that everything's in a digital age. We went to the national conference and it was incredible about anything and everything we did had some sort of digital background throughout the entire thing. And as we are trying to move forward into the new age, we wanted to ensure that we have appropriate training and inviting board members who wanted to also take part in that training with us. So I believe we have 1 seat still available.
Anybody interested in volunteering for that? It'll be myself, Director Smith, Sarah, and we need 1 other workforce. Casey? Oh, I love it. All right, Casey's on it. Perfect. So, just need a motion. Nominate that board members to complete the share. I'm glad you showed up. To attend the masterclass series. Can I get a motion on that?
And Mark, I give a motion.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We'll go on to item 19. Just want to take a moment and welcome Vice Chair Tommy to the discussion.
What's on the phone?
Today. We're going to approve board member, approve board members complete and share the CTE business survey from OEO. Sarah?
So the Office of Economic Opportunity has reached out to us. Apologize that this is coming directly to the board, but we wanted to share that so that if you have any members within the community, businesses and such, most notably Ms. West, this is right up your alley. We wanted to share this. We are literally at that deadline as they do need the information back tomorrow, but if we'd be willing to provide this to anyone within the communities in regards to the survey.
So do we have a volunteer?
Well, so just to give you a little background on what this is, a couple of years ago, or well, I should say back during the recession in the early 2000s, we lost funding as CTEDs for 9th grade students and graduate students. And so it took us a long time to get back some things similar to that. Right now, the way it stands, we got back 2 years ago, the 9th graders are funded for regional in-demand programs. As long as they take that regional in-demand program when they're 9th grade, and then they take another CTE program when they're in 11th, we get our funding retroactive, which is, if you can imagine data tracking, a little miserable, right? To think, okay, a 9th grader took this class, now in 11th grade, we're gonna see what they took, and then we'll give you funding back. And if that student's left, what district does it go to? Does it go to the current district, the previous district, that type of thing? So that was the first thing that we got back, but better than nothing. And then the 13th year funding is 1 year after graduation. We used to be able to serve students up to age 22, similar like a special ed student. Now we can serve them for 1 year after graduation in regional in-demand programs. Our first regional in-demand list had really nothing on it that we even offered as a CTED. We, just didn't have those programs. Our second list was much more inclusive for Mojave and La Paz, and it has all the healthcare programs. It has HVAC, it has electrical, has welding. It was a pretty good list for us. It still limits us in the fact that I have a fire service partnership with Kingman Fire, and that's not on there, but Kingman Fire needs firefighters, and that's a regional demand that they're telling us. Havasu Bullhead want to start something, they're telling us they have the same issue, but it's not on that list, so I'm limited from funding that or receiving funding. So in the statute that gave us that 13th year funding, it says we'll send out a survey to local business and industry. So instead of just taking this data that they're pulling from these other sources, they want to reach out to actual business and industry partners in the area to see what they're saying that they need. So if you complete this, it helps us to increase that list of programs that we can offer to students for 1 year after they graduate. And I can tell you that our students in this area need that for 1 year after graduation. In the statute, we also receive the opportunity to offer classes in the summer. And I can just tell you a really exciting thing. Last summer was our first year of the pilot. We had 200 some credits that students took over the summer. This year we had 500 and some credits. So those are training opportunities that we're providing at WAVE, at other CTEDs across the state. And it allows us to just offer more to those students in our Mojave area. So if you could build this out, knowing that that's what it translates to, is to getting that industry on that regional demand list, we would appreciate it.
On that note, and with noting of loss of funding previously during recession periods and our current debt ratio and debt ceiling within the United States, has there been word or any kind of apprehension for potential cut to funding?
So the CTED funding, WAVE is in great shape. So I'll just tell you that WAVE is in great shape. We've done a great job as stewards of the taxpayers' money. So our funding comes from two sources. It's a local property tax, which is a very small portion of it just because of the area that we're in. But it is a portion of it. The voters approved that in 2008, so we started in 2009. The remainder of it comes from the state general fund. As you know, the state general fund right now is taking a little bit of a decline due to the changes in the tax structure and things like that. With that, there's always a risk that they will say, hey, we're gonna change your funding too. They can't necessarily change that local property tax, but they can change what happens from that state general fund allocation. We've had a lot of support for CTE and training because it falls into that workforce development. So unless things get really dire as they were in the early 2000s, I don't see anything tragic happening to us. And we're growing, you know, having a positive is growing. So it's been a positive for us and we're in really good shape. So that I guess is all I can tell you at this point. I can't predict the future.
So actually what you're saying to me is we, as a board, everybody should volunteer to do this.
Yes, and all of our business industry partners, if Rachel could ship it out to everybody, if economic development could ship it out, if CAMA could ship it out, and we could get as many people to fill this out and say, these are our needs, we have a better chance of getting more programs on that in-demand list. Like, for example, law enforcement isn't on the in-demand list, so we know where we are with law enforcement. There's a lot of issues with being able to find people. So if we can get more things on that list, we can serve more students for a larger period of time.
Go ahead.
The board, at its pleasure, would like to direct business services. I have a constant contact with 1,650 businesses. I can get that sent out today.
And I think I'll look at my emails and maybe I can do this at the end. I can report. I think they're extending the deadline. So if I can let Joe know, I'll let him know that. But I think they're extending the deadline because we just had the discussion. And it's funny because this survey has gone to the community college. It's come to you guys. It has not gone to me as a CTIP. I've gotten it externally from other people, but I have not gotten it from all of you. It's in our statute. So it's odd, but I would appreciate that if we could send it out and I will look at the deadline and see if I can find that.
So then I believe we need the motion to approve.
So I motion to approve the services.
Okay. I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're going to move on to item 20. Approve the WIOA Title 1B Adult Dislocated Worker and Youth Request for Payment from March 2023 to May 20.
From March to May, that's correct.
I just want to cover legal. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Chair. I am actually going to turn this over to the Assistant Director, Chris Register, who I believe is on the phone. Chris, can you go over this?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good. So these are just the expenditure reports. Is basically what we spent between March and May. The reason June is not in there is because we have not billed June yet because we always bill a month behind. So you'll see June's billing in the next board meeting. So you can see where we've spent the money. The second page of each report is the actual category in which we spent it in. None of the backup as far as the actual expenditure reports that we utilize for credit cards or anything like that are attached because it would make this about 1,000-page report. But if anybody would like to see any of the attachments that belong to these charges, you're more than happy to reach out to me and I will get it for you. Other than that, it's just what we spent from March to May. Anybody have any questions? I'm sorry.
All right, no, Chris, I was asking for questions as well.
Okay.
Okay, that being said, I need a motion to approve the quarterly report from March 2023 to May 2023.
I motion. This is Tammy.
Hey, Tammy, can I get a second?
Second.
Perfect. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're going to move on to the report section. And I'm first on that report. I've been wanting to make this report for a couple of meetings, but now that the hiring events are taking off and we're doing lots of them, I just wanted to pretty much acknowledge the business service team, and I did this in a previous report as well, but they're amazing. Joe and his team working with John and his team, putting on the hiring events. I just wanted to acknowledge and kind of tell everybody what goes on behind the scenes, because as an employer, we get there, we have our stuff, we have our goodies, we go to the table, we set up, and we get to talk to people. And as myself representing Allo, I have hired lots and lots and lots of people out of those hiring events. So I guess my report pretty much is just a thank you and acknowledging your work since you came over as the business person. Everything has improved. You and your team been working so closely with the state. And I mean, like I said, as an employer, I show up, put my goodies on the table and talk to people. They start way before that. They start with the planning. They get a date, they get the place, they send out all the invites, they come back with the invites. And then I always try to beat them, be there early, see if I can beat them. I can't do it. Every time I get there, they're already there, tables are in motion, and then they're gone. When we're done, we pack up and leave. And we have all of our people's names, and we have all these people we're going to hire and talk to and interview. And there's Bill left behind, breaking things down and planning the next hiring event. So that's actually my report. Just put it out there. Thank you so much. Without you, I know Allo and a lot of the employers in town would have a lot harder time finding people to come to work for them. So you guys are fabulous. So I think for that. So thanks. Okay, Director Smith's not here. Do you want to maybe there or no? No, currently do not have a director report. On the performance committee report, Tommy, do you have a report for us?
I have a little bit of an update. At our last meeting, we had talked about tracking, and Sarah, you guys feel free to step in here so you can really explain everything. But we were looking to do some regular to present tracking performance. Obviously, that's what we're there for. And we're looking at different ways, different forms to really be able to present that to everyone here so they can look at it as a snapshot and really see the progress really simple. I think what we took away from our last meeting is just being able to compare current performance to previous performance when they're not really apples to apples. There's just different standards and different levels that we were expected to meet. So at that meeting, we took away, Sarah and Joe, we're going to go back and look at how we can bring in some of the previous performances. So we can still look and see where we were versus where we are now, even though it might not be the exact, we're not looking at apples to apples. So Sarah, with that said, do you have anything since then to really come forward?
Yes, thank you. So during our performance review committee, some of those numbers that we showed you earlier about how we actually track our performance of our staff and our program internally, and those are driven by the board. We also have performance measures of how this entire program functions and runs, and those are negotiated at a state level. And then a statistic adjustment model takes place after that all happens and kind of changes that, but that's after the fact, once those negotiations take place. What we are currently going to be providing to the board going forward, hopefully by Q1 in October, or mid of Q1 in October, will be our actual outcomes. So at the end of every program year, we go through a mass cleanup. Every single thing that we do with a participant compiles into 1 million data points. Those data points equal our outcomes, whether they have gained a credential, a measurable skills gain, if they've been upskilled, if they have ongoing employment after they've exited a program between quarters 2 and 4. And all of those data points over several hundred people can be very meticulous to do. And if we do not do that throughout the year and do a more diligent check-in into that information, then we are playing catch up at the end of the year. So we have put in as an additional check and balance of our actual staff and supervisory team is that they will be going in quarterly with that information and changing those data points, going in and making sure that if someone says that they did not receive a medical skills gain, and we know that they went into training and education, that we're going further into those details and ensuring that the information is in there. It will be rough, but it will be very raw at the beginning with those data points. But we're hoping that as we do that more efficiently per quarter instead of a year-end closeout, it will help us move forward and honestly help us to be more diligent in how we're serving people and how we're actually doing our jobs. What are we doing? Where are we leaving the mark? And how are we moving that every single time? Because if we're not, then we need to make some sort of corrective action immediately.
I mean, just for an example, the annual report we're working on right now has just shy of 49,000 applicants. So by doing that quarterly, it's gonna not be a monster at the end, and we're gonna be aware of trends earlier.
Eating an elephant. That's what we're doing right now. That's fun. Perfect.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the one-stop operator report. Stephanie?
So, global, mostly the Atlas, network, which is a buildup of all of our local community resources in one place. So we've identified, several different, categories, starting off with youth, food services, homelessness, benefits for drug and mental health are just some of the categories that are separated along with the support of, Joe, to tackle those businesses first and get them on board with Atlas. And for those of you that don't know what Atlas is, it's a software that will be built by all of the local community resources. So if someone needs support with homelessness and clothing, all the resources will be in one place. They can just type in what they're looking for and send over the referral to the appropriate resource. That receiving agency will respond to that referral within 48 hours. Get the appropriate support. So my role right now, it's my phase one. So all of our core partners are already live with the page up and running. Now I'm working on getting the first 20 local community resources in there so we can fully take advantage of this software. So some of the entities that I've met with so far, we do have JDBC in there running, Arizona Youth. I met with Catholic Charities last week, but as some of you know, Catholic Charities is such a big organization that we're working with several divisions one-on-one to get them up and running as well. I will be meeting with Nation's Finest, and I'm also meeting with Terrell's in the next couple of days. So they're the next two resources to be on their live. And just the overall goal of this is to support better servicing our community, quicker service. And this will also provide more up-to-date and clean data for a lot of our core partners, as well for some of the local entities. And we also need to track their progress, how many referrals they send out to local community resources and how many they have received. So really all we ask for is free of charge for all of the local resources. All we ask is that the page is properly maintained. So eligibility criteria, any program services, and also contact information. So a lot of times, you know, if there's a question or if it's kind of an emergency basis type of thing, sometimes it's still easier to just pick up the phone and dial those numbers and get those answers quickly. So those are the things that we ask for. Quick response to the 24 to 48 hours to those referrals received, and just up-to-date information in all those pages. That's all I have. And if anyone has any particular questions regarding Atlas, I am always available.
Thank you for that, Stephanie. That's a great report. I do want to apologize ahead of time. I did not have the updated agenda, so you did great picking up where you knew you were already supposed to speak next. So that was amazing. Thank you very much. First I thought she not ready, and then I realized I had not the updated agenda. So you did great. Thank you very much, and I apologize for just throwing you right out there. So we're going to back up a little bit and do program barriers, transportation, and business service committee update. Tammy.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. It cut out.
Do you have a report for us for your program barriers, transportation, business service committee update?
Do you know what? The only thing, I've been trying to put together committees. I've had small little meetings with several people, but I have not had a formal meeting yet, but I am hoping to have that within about a month. It's just through the summer months and through the last few months, it's been hard to get them all together.
Understandable, Tammy. Thank you. Amy.
All right, so we are rocking and rolling. School is ready to start. We have all four cities. Parker is a little different just in how they do things because of how they're set up, but we do have our collaboration meetings set up at each of the schools. Arizona work partners with those meetings with us. They come so they kind of know what's going on in the high schools. Our schools have the information to make a referral. They provide support in a variety of ways. Our most recent project support was Creative Care. We partnered for a summer nursing assistant class, and where WAVE can't maybe cover an adult student or a student has needs because they can't pay for their scrubs or something like that. Arizona Network has come in, so that was our most recent one. So our collaboration meetings will start up again. WAVE, MCC, and the school districts in Mojave County have hired 4 career coaches. So we will have a career coach placed at Kingman High School, Lee Williams High School. Mojave High School will share theirs because River Valley is so small. And then we will also have one at Lake Havasu High School. The goal of these folks is again to create that pipeline, have more individualized conversations with students. Students tend to, in large groups, not say much about what they want to do because whether they're, maybe this isn't something that is, popular, or maybe it's something that they really don't know a lot about. So we're trying to get to more of that individualized approach where we'll provide group information and also set up appointments with students to start drilling down to what's your pathway? What does your future story look like? We had some discussions. MCC has provided us with some great data to track where these kids are. One of our big goals is FAFSA completion. The more students that fill out FAFSA, the more students that feel like they have the opportunity to actually move on to that next level of education. So we've got a lot of pieces of the puzzle that are all coming together, whether it's WAVE funding, whether it's Arizona at Work funding. There are a lot of programs in the state. We were meeting the other day, and basically it was, the student wants to do something, there shouldn't be a lot of barriers. We have a lot of opportunities for them. So that career coach is going to be funded by WAVE, MCC, and then anything after that, the school district will pick up, but a majority of it should be covered by WAVE and MCC. Another thing that we implemented is a nursing pathway. Again, Arizona at Work has been there with us at these meetings. MCC has lifted their early start credit limit. So WAVE will start out with nursing assistant classes that we can pay for. The academic courses that WAVE can't pay for, MCC and the district will cover. There's about 7 of them before they can get into the LPN program. Once they've taken those academic courses, WAVE will cover the LPN as long as they fit into that 13th year or 10th, 11th, 12th grade year. We even added the RN classes into our programming because we do have some go-getters. So we have one student that is already working on those next steps. So we've added that in to expand that capacity as a pathway. And then at our most recent CTE conference in Tucson, there were 1,100 teachers, business and industry, college partners there talking about training and development. We had a presentation from Edward Koda, I think his name was. He is the Chief Economic Strategist for Superintendent of Public Instruction Board. They are establishing a commission to try to directly link students to business and industry, which is kind of what we all talk about, what we're trying to do here as well. So it's not necessarily a new idea, but it's something that they are taking on as an initiative and starting a commission. We'll see how that works in the rural areas. It may be, we'll see what it looks like in Pima and Maricopa versus the rest of us. But we have those conversations. He came and presented, and then OEO also came and presented as far as funding opportunities. If we have ideas or things that we are looking at, there's some possibility that they would like to jump in if there's any thought. So it's kind of what's going on in the youth world. That's all you do? That's just one month. It was yesterday. Yeah.
Can I give a success story? So my stepson and another student that did WAVE, they just graduated. They did a culinary program in Lake Havasu. They did the extracurricular program through WAVE, which is CCAP. He received a full-ride scholarship to Monroe University in New York, and she received a full-ride scholarship to CIA, which is Culinary Institute of America. Nice. His was like 70,000. Hers was like 35,000. So
that's amazing. We had a big year last year.
I went to the award ceremony in Phoenix, and Lake Havasu High School WAVE program produced 2 of the 5 Fulbright scholarships. So
amazing work. Yeah.
Yeah, that was exciting, and that is our third polarized scholarship in the 8 years that they've been.
Wow.
So they're not easy to come by because the students have to have a good GPA and want to go. You know, a lot of students take culinary because they want to learn how to cook for themselves. Yeah. So to find a student that actually has a great GPA, wants to leave the state and go as far as New York, and has kind of jumped through all these hoops of showing that they've got the capacity to do it is really a testament to these kids and their instructors, because it's been kind of a neat journey to watch. And we have a junior who wants to go there next year. She wants to get the scholarship, and she leaves for boot camp at Monroe College on August 5th and goes there for a 3-4 day camp, so that kind of gives her a little leg up when it comes to next year for the competitions.
You guys are doing some amazing work. We could have just did the meeting on that alone today.
Well, as long as you said success stories, we have had several of our students also hired with fire departments. So we had a small group this last year, but when we pay their testing fee of $200, they get 3 attempts. These are not easy tests. And so we have one young lady from this last year's group that is already a certified EMT, certified CNA, and passed all of her firefighter exams.
And how old is she?
She's 18. And so we have several, Kingman Fire has hired several. We have some others that are finishing testing in the EMT process. And so that's been kind of a neat project to kind of implement. So I call those pop-up programs. And so if we have other pop-ups that people need to do for certain industries, there's an opportunity there.
Maybe talk about broadband later. No, that's fabulous. That is, God, you guys are doing some fabulous work. Okay, we'll move on to Tammy. Do you have an economic development update?
It's been a day. I think we are just moving very, very quickly on trying to help find developers to bring housing. That's been a real challenge. We've had some companies that have come in and had to buy land and bring in their own mobile homes or build homes for their employees that they're bringing with them. We have other companies that are struggling to find housing, and they're talking about what they need to do. Do they need to buy up a certain amount of land and have developers build the housing for them, because it just continues to be a big issue. Our housing study will be completed. The draft is just about there. It'll be completed within a week or two, and I'm not sure when it's going to go to the Board of Supervisors for public review and public notice, but probably within a month we'll be able to have that completed. And I continue to have more and more businesses looking at this area. In that housing study, just so that you know, I did a review of what jobs I'm working on that's in the pipeline that have unless something happens to the economy in the next 3 years, I've got over 4,000 jobs that are coming to the community. And so that's a lot of jobs. It's a lot of businesses looking to come. And now it's just, all of those have already identified land. They're just going through the processes. It still might take them a year or two before they're ready to announce. But it's a lot to work on, and I'm concerned about the housing that's going to go with those businesses. The other thing we're working on is business retention expansion and helping our local businesses, more than just the workforce, but what do we need to do to keep them here and help them to expand? And so from my office, we've got programs put together to help them know, is it finance? Is it marketing? Is it international trade or government contracts? In fact, we have a meeting that we're putting together in September to teach employers how to get government contracts from local, city, county, state, up to federal, and not just federal, but the supporting and vendors that use the federal government system, such as your aerospace companies. They all go through the SAM's website, as well as they have the same processes that they have to follow. And so understanding what that looks like. And I don't have the date in front of me, but it's around the 14th of September, something like that. We'll be getting the word out soon. We just had our HR symposium last week and we had 29 or 30 people at that. And then our Profit Mastery class is going to start September 20th. And that is free if you do it quickly. As of yesterday morning, no, day before yesterday, we were at 15 people. And we only started registering this week. So there's the first 50 are free. After that, the businesses will pay $185 a person. So, and it's an $895 class. So it's a good class. We're asking that just to be businesses and not government entities that sign up so that we can save that. And then later, if there's open spaces, then government people can get a ticket. But other than that, be a registrant. But other than that, we really are trying to have 50 businesses within the county to sign up. And like I said, Supervisor Lincolnfelder's paying for that out of his ARPA funds. I think that's it. We're working on changing and making some tourism itineraries that is going to include more workforce. And so we're working on what that will look like and how we can bring in more people and get more people jobs. I think that's it for right now. That's pretty good.
That's a lot. You ask you like I asked Amy, that's all you do? Appreciate it. We're gonna go on to WIOA One Stop Partner Reports, starting with the current priority list. Sarah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So current priority list, I don't really know which one to pick. We'll go with Quest. That is our Quest Facilitated Worker Grant. We do have staff in our La Paz and our MCC location. So we have staff assigned at AWC and Parker. We have a staff assigned in the Kingman MCC office right now to enroll people into that grant. That is for those that have in any way been impacted by COVID. If they had to take time off, if they lost their job, if they lost their entire business as a result of the pandemic, they are able to apply for this grant, receive scholarship funds for supportive services, on-the-job training, work experiences, and training and education, which is why we're based directly in those colleges, as those are the ones facilitating it. We are training the staff as we have a well-oiled machine and system here. So with that, the staff are on site, trained and ready to execute. We have Danielle here at MCC and Kingman, who will actually be traveling to all the sites until we get her counterpart hired at another location at MCC. And she's also traveling up to Colorado City to provide services to that population. She'll be up there on August 3rd and 4th for different things. So if you know of anyone in that area that is looking for education, upskilling, or across Mojave and La Paz County, we do have funds. Applying for payroll and FAFSA is not a requirement for this grant. If they have been affected, they are eligible. We can provide services as long as they qualify for the general requirements. If you are male over 18, we do have to have your selective service and I-9 documents. So if you are a U.S. citizen or you have citizenship documentation, we can provide you these services. The other large priority that we have rolling out is our SMS or messaging system through all of our locations. So we're able to, naturally, most people, most youth, most adults, most everybody now responds to messages. With that, we can send out updates for hiring events, all of outreach, engagement, whatever that may be, and that need to our participants across all of Mojave and La Paz counties. And when they respond back, we are able to then have that immediately put into their file. So we're not having to duplicate the work of I've now texted this individual, like I have to go in and put the information. It automatically drops it into their chart. So we can see if they have responded, we have received some sort of notification. If they don't respond, we get an alert saying, hey, out of this list of individuals you've tried to outreach for your nursing students, these 3 didn't respond, so that we know that we can outreach again. We also are going to be implementing a kiosk here in our Kingman office so that we can do daily tracking of exactly what people are coming in the door for, what they need, and if they have an appointment, they can directly bypass or send a notification from that kiosk to the representative, or if we have an overwhelmed lobby when we have hired events or different things happening here. Their career coach is notified immediately and able to come out and respond to them. But it's also going to allow us more accurate reporting of exactly what people are coming out of course for and how many and for what reasons, and then have that expansive information. It is starting in Kingman, and then we will look to roll that out into other areas or potentially even just a specialized tablet for business services, or when we have hiring events, we give real-time data of this employer was here for the last 2 hours and they've already made 20 job offers, or they have filled this many slots. And we can have that information instantaneously from those events instead of having to go around and grab that. So we just have the ability to sign in through the Atlas system, provide that information, and then we can blast that to where in our community, hey, Allo is here and they're hiring and they just filled 4 of their 20 slots. Come quickly before those others fill up. Right? And last on my priority list is that we do have our GED graduation ceremony tomorrow from 2 to 5, 2 to 4 in the Board of Supervisors auditorium. The Honorable Judge Rick Williams will be our keynote speaker. Thank you, Supervisor Bishop, for being our keynote speaker last year. We're extremely excited to be able to commemorate all of our graduates and for this milestone that they've taken to move on to the next step of physical education or training or directly into the workforce. That's all I've got.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move down to Title III. Needs to leave, so go ahead, teamwork.
Really the only thing I've got is spent a full year that I've had our PSR with the team, and we, through the health partnership with Title I, they've conducted over 50 plus hiring events, which is astronomical because no one else stays that high. And they've had over 10,000 participants show up at their events, which again is astronomical compared to everywhere else in the state in Maricopa. Just the sheer number that the two of them have been able to do. And then we do have some vacancies that are finally started filling or on the service staff. It's up with the Title III, so we are going to support hiring very soon.
Thank you very much, Tammy. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go back in Title I programs. Start with that.
Have Lauren Wazer, our supervisor, provide the adults, dislocated worker, and youth reports.
Good morning, everyone. So what I was going to review with everyone today are the cohorts that we've completed in the last few months and what we're working on now and coming up to. So different supports that we have gone through. We've been working hand in hand with MCC and AWC in La Paz. We've completed welding cohorts in both the Lake Havasu and Kingman area. Total service for that, there was 3 adults and 7 youth, and they are all working with business services right now to get handed off into employment so they can gain self-sufficiency. We have the same exact situation with carpentry. We had a full cohort of 5 people, 4 adults, 1 youth. All of them are also working towards employment services support or business services support. I apologize. We just finished a remote CDL here in Lake Havasu with Phoenix Truck Driving. That one, it only had 2 people in it, but it's been very successful. We will be able to look at doing that down the road again. Once it cools down out here, it's a little rough today. We wrapped up Walletta for the first half of the year in June. With that, there was a total of 8 participants that were serviced with that. 4 were adult, 4 were youth. And we are in the middle of, or we had just recently finished a Yuma training as well. There were 2 adult reps from, or adult clients from that one as well. With Creative Care, we had worked for CNA certifications between Kingman and Bullhead, and we'd worked with the WAVE program for that as well with Amy and her team. There were 2 youths that had completed that successfully, so they're on to the next steps of being CNAs. And then in the middle, current trainings that we're working on right now, we had just completed a open house with Phoenix Truck Driving on July 5th. Right now, we are working on the enrollment process from that. It was a wonderful event, and we're looking at a potential 10 people that we can service between programs of youth and adult from that. So that's going to be quite wonderful. We are in the middle of incumbent worker trainings with Cantex, with MCC for the Leadership Excellence Program. And we have also recently completed a CDL incumbent worker training for the city of Kingman. Between all those, there was 9 incumbent workers, but a grand total of just under 20 people. So it's been a wonderful turnout helping people get through different trainings at this time. And we are wrapping everything up right now with Walletta is starting back up. There is a potential of 5 to 8 participants that we will be able to support while they get their peace officer training certificate. And Letta in Yuma is completing their law enforcement training as well. And we're looking at having another 2 folks for them. A lot of great trainings and cohorts going on right now, and we are working with MCC with different CTE courses and trying to project different things that we can bring to the community that maybe we haven't done before, and kind of try and see what everyone's looking forward to doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. You know, I listen to all you guys and I think I'm busy. You're exhausted. You tell me everything you guys do all the time. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much. So we're going to move on to business services. Joe?
Madam Chair, Board, before I get started with the data here, just real quick, want to give a shout out to Stephanie, our new one-stop operator. We've re-engaged with the monthly core management partner meeting. And it's enabled us to, determine best practices and have more collaboration. And, we just had one in Havasu a couple days ago, being in person, being able to have those conversations. It's really helped business services because there's a lot of crossover with Title IV, with Title III, and, all knowing what each other's doing and making sure that, if there's something in our way, we can work around it. So just having her on board and establishing those meetings has been very helpful. Thank you, Steph. All right, so I have second quarter data for you. I watched myself on these meetings a couple weeks later when they come out. And I realized that the last board meeting I was talking like a chipmunk. So if I'm going too fast or if there's something you would like more clarification on, please let me know. So the first one here, that's the next page, or did we skip a page?
This is this first page of your thing.
Okay, so we have referral and placement report, and got all the data for the state on top, and then from Hobby La Paz on the bottom. I'm just going to go over the highlighted things for you. So for second quarter, we had 3,748 job orders in the state compared to 1,008 in Mojave La Paz. 26.8% of the state totals were done in Mojave La Paz. Just a reminder that business services for Mojave La Paz is 3% of the employees for the state. 98 of us, and there's only 3 of us here. So, and then job openings from those job orders, 12,720 from the state, 2,979 were Mojave County, 23.4% of the state totals. And then statewide placement. So referrals, we see a lot of referrals, and we see a very small percentage. So a referral without a placement is what I call throwing mud at the wall and see what sticks. A placement is actually, we proved that someone got a job with one of our employers. So statewide, there were 68 placements in the second quarter. 35 of those were Hobby La Paz for 51.4% of the state total. All right, and then here, job order report. The reason why these numbers were a little different from the first slide only lets me go back 60 days. This is the entire quarter. So job orders, 2838 for the state. 710 of those were Mojave La Paz, 25% of the state total. And then contract tracking. So as part of what Title III did with their all-week training last week in Phoenix was they looked at best practices, and they have created a whole bunch of new metrics for business services throughout the state. And actually they adopted most of what we were doing in Hobby La Paz for what the rest of the state is going to be held to that account now. Like John was saying earlier, that's 3% of the employees that represent business services for the state of Arizona. To us to be doing 10, 15, 20 times the work we should be doing. They were just trying to pick our brains and find out what was going on. So contract tracking, this is anytime we're holding a hiring event, we're doing a comprehensive job order review, we're posting a job for an employer. And this is 6,227 compared to 1,942 of those were Mojave La Paz, 31.1% of the state totals. All right, hiring events and open houses. Again, I'm not gonna go through each event, but at the bottom here, we had, the second quarter, we had 709 participants, 13 events, 93 referrals, 256 jobs verified, and 16 new contacts with employers within Mojave and La Paz. Next up, we have second quarter cohorts. Lauren covered most of these. As we're working on welding and nursing assistant, law enforcement, carpentry. And again, we've now created a weekly meeting with the college so that not only leadership, but every program representative has a chance every week to say who they have, what they're looking for. The college has made a commitment to us that they don't care about their regular cohort schedule. When we have enough people for a class, we're going to bang out a class. So we don't want to lose those people that are looking for those skill gap trainings by having to wait several months. And this is our current WEX list. Just want to give you guys, a heads up. This is what's going on. We've got people in all different fields. We had a fantastic summer internship program this year. We had Arizona Western College down in La Paz. We had several high schools in the Mojave County area. Just a great way to get them started on their workforce path. Okay. So this current OJTs and IWT contracts, a little bit of what Laura was talking about, but just to give you guys a visual. So currently right now we have almost $150,000 obligated on the job training and covered worker training contracts throughout Mojave and La Paz. And then finally, I just want to give you a snapshot of our social media. When I came on board, we had about 2,000. Now you can see that we got 38.8 thousand per reach, engagement 5.7 thousand, impressions almost just over 74,000, new net followers 85 for last month. And then on the right, you can kind of see the breakdown of who we're touching. And this helps me concentrate on what time of day, and making sure that I'm hitting all the outlying smaller chambers, Dalton Springs, White Hills, those types of things. And as you can see on the right there, we're now hitting Tucson, Phoenix. We have some bigger markets that we're starting to reach. So just wanted to give you guys a snapshot of that. And that's all I have for business services.
Sure. Hey, joking, what was the 3%? It was 51.4% is Mojave County. What's the explanation of the 3% is?
So we have 3% of the employees that make up their state business services.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions for Joe? Okay. All right, we do not have a Title II adult education rep, so we'll have no report there. Moving on to Title IV. Randy, are you still with us?
I am. I'm here. Yeah. So this year we've had about 61 cases closed successfully with employment. Just this quarter, we've had 18 closed successfully. We've had about 35 individuals placed in competitive employment. Referrals, we've had this year about 217 new client referrals, and just this quarter, out of that 217, we've had 49 referrals. And we're starting to get more referrals from Arizona at Work. Thanks, Stephanie, for setting up the Atlas program, for getting referrals set up through that. We're getting referrals through the Division of Developmental Disabilities, through behavioral health clinics. We've been working closely with Southwest Behavioral Health and Mojave Mental Health, and we've been getting self-referrals. We're also continuing to work with the GEO Group, collaborating on the Kingman Prison Project to assist soon-to-be released inmates with employment for individuals that have disabilities that are inmates. We're also collaborating with the Kingman High Schools. We're trying to get a transition from school to work program going with the Kingman High Schools, and we're working on a methodology for that. We're also in the process of hiring a new voc rehab counselor for Lake Havasu, and Bullhead City and Lake Havasu counselors are collaborating with Fort Mojave Voc Rehab on the upcoming Dream Fair, which is going to be held on August 17th from 1 to 3:30 at the Avi. And that's also the same day they're having their Honoring Abilities Conference, which starts at 9:30. I'm going to be having my Havasu Rehab Tech start covering in La Paz the Parker one-stop office. They'll be covering in person on Wednesdays in the afternoons. And we're hoping to have in Kingman a counselor start covering for Title IV at the one-stop office there in Kingman in person weekly. And we're open with Voc Rehab to have staff outreach to anyone to learn more about our program and provide training as needed. That's pretty much it for updates for Voc Rehab.
Thanks, Randy. Any questions for Randy? Okay, that concludes our reports, and at this time, any workforce development board members who wish to share the information come forward with their announcements. Anybody on board? Yes, Glenn.
So I just wanted another great collaboration. Didn't want to skip this. Title I, Title IV, and housing for Mojave County come together. We're going to be having a second chance resource fair the first week in October. And this is going to be a combined, think of it as a standout for veterans, but not for veterans. So we're going to be looking at three key groups: homeless, developmentally disabled, and reentry. So those are the three areas we're going to target. It's going to be an outdoor hiring event in the park. But we're going to have all our title partners and community partners there. So just to give you an example, we'll have WACOG there, because WACOG has services for those people, but they also have jobs for those people. So we're going to be trying to do two things at once. We're going to try to make sure they have the services, the wraparound services they need, and a work-based learning or an on-the-job training opportunity through those companies as well. So it's a double dip. We're going to be doing outreach at all of Southwest Behavioral, Mojave Health. We're going to be going to where this population of people that generally can't or don't come to us in this building, going to where they are a month in advance, pre-registering them, getting them closed for the event. We're going to have barbers and beauticians on site so they can start off with a fresh haircut before they go through the line. Just another collaboration of trying to make sure that zip code doesn't determine your outcome, and that for the people who have trouble getting to us, we're going to be going to them. So we're going to be reaching out to several of you on the board for your participation. And of course, anybody that has open positions that wants to attend that event will be invited as well. Just didn't want to pass up this opportunity.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Any other announcements? Okay, at this time, I'll call the public. This is a public meeting, and so this would be the time that you can give any comments, questions, or anything for the board. We would be open to answer them for you. No public being present. It is 11:59, and I adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Okay, so how did they prove selected service role? That was